Is being alone a personal choice, a trauma response, or both? Let's talk about it. Hey guys, it's Katie Kate on the Homestead. Beautiful day here in the country. We have had some much needed rain, and I am just sitting out here enjoying the beautiful sky and the cooler temperature. Today I want to talk about my own experience of being alone here on the homestead. Before I start, I just want to address a couple things before I see it repeated in the comments section. For everybody who says that I am not alone because I live here with my teenage son, I would like to say that he is a child. He's 15 years old. He's not an adult, and he's not my husband. He is not somebody whose shoulder I cry on. He doesn't pay any bills. He doesn't help me problem solve. And he is not somebody that I go to confide in when I'm struggling. He's a teenager and I am his mom. It is my job to shelter him from those things. I am not sharing this experience with another adult. My kid is 15. It's not like he wants to spend a lot of time hanging out with mom. He does his thing. I do my thing. He has 2 chores around here to justify his allowance. He feeds the cats and he puts the dry dishes away. That's the extent of the help that I typically receive from him. I don't put a lot of pressure on him to do homesteading chores because I recognize that this is my dream, not his. And until he is a grown up, he's just along for the ride. Secondly, for all the comments that say that I am not alone because I have a YouTube channel and I'm on social media, I will respond that that is a part of the issue, and I will discuss that in this video. If you don't know the difference between interacting with people in real life and interacting online, I don't know what to tell you. ATV. You might need to get out and touch grass. So I want to talk about the choice of isolation and the choice to be alone. I have been listening to a lot of commentary from other creators who have made a similar choice, and the spectrum of their experience and opinions is quite vast. One thing that they all have in common, my own story included, is the feedback that our choice is a trauma response. And along with that sentiment typically comes the idea that once you've healed, you won't feel this way. So by framing it as a trauma response, it naturally implies that it's a negative thing, that it is something to heal from, overcome, and then move on from. So let's dive deeper into that. I'm very much a person who enjoys thought experiments, playing devil's advocate. So I am willing to step back and say, okay, my choice to be here by myself is a trauma response. No shit, Sherlock. I guess if I had had wonderful experiences in relationships in my life, I would have made different choices. If my ex husband had turned out to be a wonderful man, I would still be married to him. If my family treated me with love and kindness, I would still enjoy and prioritize having them share my experience in life. Obviously, that's not the case. I find myself living in 2025, which means social media and the internet is a part of life. I can't say how I would feel about this experience without that context. That's context, and it is what it is. It is a part of being isolated in this modern, very connected world. We can all certainly remember back in 2020 when we were isolated not by choice, and how this online connection was a substitute to some extent for our daily interactions that we weren't able to have. Everybody who lived through that can attest to the fact that it's not the same thing. It's not a substitute, but it is a little bit of a filler. And look what happened there. Once people were separated behind screens, everything became polarized. Without interacting with people in real life, I lost friends because every topic was politicized, and it was easier for people to find fault when that human interaction was removed. And that persists to this day. I don't think things have ever really gone back to normal. Even if choosing to be alone is a response to traumatic experiences in real life with other people, then it is still a choice. Healing can happen without the goal of reintegrating. People really don't interact the way that they did decades ago, and I am old enough to remember that. There was a time before all of this accessibility when we really did go out and do things and talk to strangers and introduce ourselves to people and put ourselves out there to make friends in real life. And that is just not the way it is these days. Whatever degree of isolation you choose, there are things to enjoy about it. Zoom meetings in pajama pants was very appealing to people. I think during that time, people even started to appreciate some of the advantages of being alone. I think a lot of people certainly didn't miss commuting to work, being on public transit, being on busy highways, or sitting in a cubicle next to their coworkers. Obviously, trauma and bad experiences in relationships can leave a person untrustworthy of reintegrating and re-engaging in any intimate way with other people. I'm not here pretending that I don't have anybody in my life who loves me. I certainly do, but I enjoy spending the majority of my time alone with my own thoughts. We all know that solitude does not necessarily mean loneliness. And it's a quite well known quote that a person feels lonelier surrounded by people that they don't connect to than they do when they're just by themselves. I was listening to one commentary recently, and the lady was listing off all the things that you shouldn't share with people. Things like your financial situation, your past bad choices, your regret. In her opinion, these things just ended up being ammunition that other people have against you. I don't really feel that way. The people that I choose to have in my life, I share pretty candidly with. This one lady went so far as to say that when she needs to confide in someone, she uses AI and her chat bot, which I think is a very alarming thing. Personally, I've never really been a person who goes to my friends to talk about my problems. I've always been of the mind that I don't like to share drama. I would rather keep it to myself until I have solved it. And then by the time I share it with my friends, it's just an interesting story. It's not a crisis anymore. I can go to them a couple weeks later and say, oh my gosh, you won't believe what I've been dealing with. But typically it's after I've already worked through it. I'm not really a person who's ever enjoyed venting to other people. I find it just confuses me because I get bombarded with other people's feedback and opinions, and it makes it harder for me to understand how I really feel. So being alone feels very natural to me in that way. And I'm certainly not bringing my problems to my YouTube audience or putting them on my social media. Just like in real life, I will typically have the problem solved before I decide to share it. I certainly have no need for a chatbot best friend. Part of my journey out here has been enjoying the quiet and the time to reflect on my life, my great experiences, as well as my traumas. And I really don't feel like it is something that I need to work through and move on from. I quite enjoy spending time alone. It suits my nature, it suits my character, and it just works for me. My air conditioner just came on. So, for everybody out there, no matter how isolated you are or how integrated you are, I think that we can all agree that there are many benefits to having quiet time, to taking space, however you can carve that out for yourself, and in whatever degree suits you and serves you, makes you happy. I don't think it has to be a polarized juxtaposition between inner peace and trauma response. I think that it's much more nuanced than that. And it's important to understand by listening to other people's experience how it plays out for us individually. All right, guys. Well, I think that's all I have for today. Just some things I've been thinking about as I continue to reflect and continue to carve out a space where I can have some peace. And I can also think about the feedback that I receive in the comment section because I do read them. Although there is an initial defensive reaction to being told that I'm just having a trauma response, I am perfectly willing to dive into that aspect of what I'm doing and see how it is woven in to why I am choosing to make the choices that I continue to make. So until next time, happy, healthy living. I hope you are all doing well, staying safe, staying kind, enjoying midsummer. I'm Katie Kate on the Homestead, and I'll see you later.